Ok, vale, bueno, sí. Ah, discutíamos la situación de comprar boletos o entradas para los partidos profesionales de deportes, los partidos profesionales, sí, cuestan un ojo de la cara. Entradas para ver un partido profesional de cualquier deporte, no importa si es béisbol o básquetbol, fútbol americano, olvídalo, ¿sí? Cuesta a comprar una entrada, cuesta un ojo de la cara. It costs an eye out of your face. That's, yeah.
¿Cuánto cuestas las entradas para Diamondbacks World Series?
¿Sabes, Marcos, cuánto cuestan las entradas para los Diamondbacks? Oh, para las series.
Of course, it depends on where in the stadium. I have a season ticket that's downstairs near third base, or in the back of the section down near third base, and I get to buy one ticket for each game at sort of a better price than the public price. And I saw my ticket's going to be $250 each, but the public price is like $600.
Oh,
And if you can't, and if there are none available, what they showed on the news this morning, like on StubHub or SeatGeek or whatever, they're already for thousands of dollars.
Wow. Una vez, eso es como hace 7 años, no sé exactamente, la última vez o la penúltima vez que hubo un Super Bowl en el estadio de ASU, hace como, no sé, 7 años, sí. Hablaba con alguien en el supermercado y la esposa no, el esposo, perdón, el esposo de la mujer con quien yo hablaba en el supermercado, el esposo era chofer de una compañía de limos, ¿sí? De estos carros muy grandísimos de alquiler, ¿sí? Y ella me dijo que él manejaba para los clientes muy ricos que vinieron al Super Bowl en el estadio no sé, en el estadio de los Cardenales, en el Cardinal Stadium, ¿sí? En Glendale, ¿sí? Y él manejaba para los ricos que ya fueron al Super Bowl y ella me dijo que, wow, solamente para aparcar, para aparcar el limo, costó como, no sé, $200, $300. Sí, ¡ay, locura! Es una locura. Ok, basta de eso, basta. Ok, va. Bueno, vamos a practicar con el pasado, con combinar y el presente también, porque si no podemos excluir, we cannot exclude, hablar en varios tiempos, talking in various times. Y vamos a empezar con las 3 fotos. No teníamos tiempo, no tuvimos tiempo o la semana pasada, ¿sí? Y voy a engrandecer aquí un poquito más las fotos, ¿sí? Ok. Y vamos a terminar o acabar con este ejercicio, ¿sí? ¿Qué pasó antes de la foto? What happened before the picture was taken? O qué hace ahora, qué hacen las personas ahora en presente, no importa, o qué va a pasar después, or what's going to happen next. You can use presente, pueden usar presente, pueden usar el pasado, pueden usar el futuro, no importa, ¿sí? Y estos verbos son sugerencias. These are suggestions, ¿sí? No son los únicos verbos, obviamente, pero son ideas para empezar, ¿sí? ¿Qué podemos decir de este hombre, sí?
I'd like to try this first one. Another one of these stories of my life, the real stories of my life. But I have to double check first a couple of words that I looked up but didn't feel right. To say that something is on sale in oferta.
En oferta, sí, en oferta.
Okay, and then one other, a pan, like his frying pan there. Sartén.
Sí, sartén. Sartén
Okay.
es frying pan.
Okay, then here we go. El hombre fue al super y compró huevos en oferta. Ahora cocina el desayuno. Más tarde, su esposa le va a decir que tiene que lavar la sartén.
Ah, exacto. Bien hecho, me gusta. Gracias. Bueno, hay otras ideas de esta foto que ustedes quieren decir. ¿Algo más o no? Adelante, adelante, adelante. Aquí, un juego de béisbol. Aunque es juego de béisbol de niños, no importa, ¿sí? Sí, un juego de Little League, ¿sí? La liga infantil, Kids League.
The Google Translate had ligas menores.
Menor, sí, liga menor. Sí, liga menor sería como minor league. Ahí sí, podemos decir eso, sí, podemos usar ese término. Bueno, ok, verbos posibles, pero no son los únicos verbos. Sí, correr, jugar, golpear, sí. Atrapar como catch. En España se puede usar coger, pero aquí en Latinoamérica no, ustedes no quieren usar el verbo nunca coger, ¿sí? Porque es the big F-bomb, ¿sí? Pero en España sí. Bueno, ideas con un juego de béisbol. Atrapar es como catch, ¿no?
Can I go back one more time? I was stepped out of the room for just a second.
Perdón, sí, claro.
This summer, we had a nice lesson about HR, which I have forgotten completely about until I see it here again. Would you just give me a 2-sentence on HR has so many meanings? Is that common to use with scrambling eggs or throwing? Were you talking about throwing the shell in the garbage? Or
hablando de cocinar.
Yeah,
sí,
on that other one.
Sí, podemos usar echar. Ok, un ejemplo. Nora quiere que yo use echar en un ejemplo para hablar de cocinar. Ok, 2 ejemplos con echar. Primero, podemos decir, sí, el hombre echó un par de huevos en la sartén. The guy threw a couple eggs in the pan. Posible.
Okay.
Pero también, otro ejemplo de echar, echar como añadir o poner un ingrediente con los huevos. También, echar. Entonces, el hombre echó echó sal a los huevos, ¿sí?
Okay. Thanks.
Así. Buena pregunta. Sí,
Okay.
echar, sí. Ok. Aquí, una idea del béisbol.
I mean, I think we kind of said it already in pieces, you know. Los chicos juegan béisbol en ligas menores.
Vale, sí, bien, sí. Ah, un jugador golpeó un homer, ¿no? Aquí, quizás. Y este niño trata de atrapar la pelota, trata de atrapar o va a atrapar la pelota. Bien, los niños tienen que correr mucho, tenían que correr mucho durante el partido. Saben ustedes, hay varias palabras para hablar del suelo donde juegan las personas durante un partido. There are different words for where somebody plays a sport. ¿Sí? Con frecuencia usamos la palabra cancha, a field, para hablar. O pista, también pista, especialmente pista aquí para hablar de un baseball field, es una cancha de béisbol. Si hablamos, por ejemplo, de un equipo de atletismo, like a track team. You know, if you have a track, es la pista. We wouldn't call that necessarily a cancha. Maybe the middle part where they do the, I don't know, ¿cómo se llama ese deporte? Sí, de tirar o echar cosas, como javelin y todo eso. Sí, eso, sí, sería una cancha, pero the runway es una pista. That would be a pista. Ok, vale. Si queremos hablar de los turistas aquí, hay muchísimos verbos que podemos usar para hablar de una visita de turistas. ¿Qué pueden ustedes decir de esto? What can you guys say about this?
We say las turistas toman un autobús a la lugar con un monumento.
Al lugar turístico, tourist place, sí, al monumento. No lo conozco. I don't know what it is. No lo conozco, pero es algún lugar turístico. Ojalá en Europa sí parece como un edificio, un monumento, un lugar turístico en Europa. Los lugares muy comunes allá. Sí, tomaron el autobús para llegar al lugar turístico. Bueno, sí. Los turistas vieron como vieron una fuente, una hermosa fuente con agua, ¿no? Una hermosa fuente en el lugar turístico, en el monumento, ¿sí? Sí, a ver. Claudia, ¿quieres?
Sí, yo quiero decir yo puedo tratar.
Okay.
Tell me if I do, how I do. Las turistas visitaron los edificios históricos.
Perfecto,
Yay.
perfecto. Excelente. ¿Qué quiere decir? ¿Saben ustedes qué quiere decir recorrer? No es rerun.
Yeah, I just looked that up. Yeah,
Record?
travel is how mine came up. to travel.
Recorrer es como tour.
Mm.
Recorrer, un recorrido quería decir un tour. Muchas veces cuando veo vídeos de YouTube, de los YouTubers, ¿no? De nativos hispanohablantes, cuando era joven, ¿sí? La palabra correcta era recorrer, to tour something. Pero ahora con los YouTubers es común usar tour, un tour. Para que sepan, just so you know, if you listen to anybody doing YouTube things, they may just borrow that English word tour if they are a younger user. Okay, pero los turistas recorrían el lugar histórico o algo así. Ok, bien. ¿Hay otra idea o no? O adelante.
I was hoping somebody knew where that was. I'm just
No.
vaguely thinking it might be someplace in Austria. It kind of looks like one of those old.
Sí, parece algún lugar como en Austria o Alemania, no sé. Sí, copié la foto de Google Images, así que no tengo ni idea. Pero sí, parece como Austria, ¿no?
I just wanted to use the verb volar. So, la gente voló a Europa.
Sí, voló así. La gente voló a
What word is
mucha.
that?
Sí, mucha gente voló a Europa el verano pasado. Many people flew to Europe last summer.
Bolo.
Eso sí. Ok. Excelente. Bien. Entienden. You understand. Okay, we're going to see if you can pick up
Se dice era muy
on something else. This is going to go a little bit faster, but this is before we get to our new picture. And now he does talk a little bit faster. Should I slow it down? You know what? I will just a bit. Ooh. Oh, quizás no puedo. Sí, puedo. Sí, puedo. Okay. I'm going to slow this down a little bit since we're doing this all together. Now, para que sepan, so you guys know, this guy is a proponent of shadowing. I don't expect you to shadow him. Shadowing means that after somebody says a sentence, you try to repeat it like their shadow, like immediately as they're saying the words. Okay. It's a method to improve one's ability to speak fluidly. And the idea is to repeat the words exactly so you understand the word patterns. But I don't expect you to repeat afterwards, but so that you know why he's doing things the way he does. We're going to see, however, if you can hear, maybe I should. I'm going to leave the subtitles up just for a little bit, but then I'm going to take them down so that we're going to see if you can hear the words he's saying. So I'll leave the subtitles up only momentarily.
divertido o fue muy divertido. ¿Íbamos por la calle o fuimos por la calle?
So he's going to be looking at that preterite imperfect split. Lento,
My name
lento.
is Nacho and I'm here to help you get out of Spanish intermediate purgatory.
Purgatory. I really love using that word purgatory because a lot of times we do feel as we're getting a little bit better, like, I feel like I'm in purgatory. I'm kind of stuck a little bit here. Okay. But keep in mind, he also works with people who try to get fluent for business reasons. So they do have to listen to very fast speech. So, okay, his audience is a little different.
This week we're gonna talk about how to stop confusing the imperfect and the preterite when you're telling stories about the past. The explanation is going to be in
And you know what? We're going to go right to his examples. We're going to see if you can detect
dificultad está en ser capaz de
examples. Okay. Y aquí and
Ese
here.
día hacía mucho
You can see he's going to actually, I think, show you the verbs that he wants you to use. So I'll back up a little bit. So you're going to see the infinitive and you're going to hear the form he's using and see if you can detect the form he's using.
La dificultad está en ser capaz de implementar esa regla con todos sus matices.
So the hard thing is implementing those rules of description or repeated action versus over and done, over and done.
Vamos a ver un par de ejemplos.
So here are the verbs he's going to use. Hacer, tomar, and tener. So he's packing a lot in there, okay? He is connecting 3 activities, 3 ideas. That day, it was really hot, and people, he may say laid or were laying in the sun in the park, but tener que, I had to go to work. Okay, let's listen to how he uses it. A ver.
Ese día hacía mucho calor y la gente tomaba el sol en el parque, pero yo tenía que ir a trabajar.
Now, yeah, I slowed him down. Yeah, it was so fast. Yeah. Whoa. Okay. So he's going to repeat it again. He's going to repeat it again.
Ese día hacía mucho calor y la gente tomaba el sol en el parque, pero yo tenía que ir a trabajar.
Okay. Now, the reason that sounds fast is that he is connecting those ideas. Okay. So he is sliding from one word immediately into the next word. All I want you guys to do is to see if you can hear the verbs he's using. Ese día hacía mucho calor. Ese día, there's no pause. Ese día hacía mucho calor. Ese día hacía mucho calor. Y la gente tomaba el sol. Those words are going to slide right into each other. Tomaba el sol. Tomaba el sol. Tomaba el sol. Es difícil, ¿no? I just want to hear if you can understand what he was talking about. So what that comes out to, that day, it was really hot and people were laying in the sun. The way we would say that in English is not they laid in the sun, but they were laying out in the sun in the park, but I had to go to work. Okay. Those are all really kind of descriptive. It's not any one thing that happened. He is looking at a scene. The idea in his mind is, you are watching what was going on when I was looking at people in the park doing stuff. Okay, so all of that is imperfecto. Description, it was hot. What people were doing while he was seeing this scene. Okay, tomaba el sol. La gente tomaba el sol. And I had to work just talking about, okay, that's kind of the idea of I couldn't stay. I had an obligation to do something else. I had to go to work. Tenía que ir a trabajar.
Hacemos otra y luego las comentamos.
So we've got the general idea in English, en inglés, aquí. I wanted to talk to you, but I didn't know if you were available at that moment or if you were busy. So the verbs we want to use, and he's connecting a lot of ideas together here. Querer, saber, venir, estar. I wanted to talk to you. Do you think we would need to use imperfecto or pretérito?
Pretérito.
Yeah, but I think with want, it's imperfecto.
Mm.
I think you've said that.
Okay, so we got a disagreement here. So let's think about this. And I'm going to give you a clue on the first one here.
It means
Most of the
tried
time,
if we
the
use
vast majority of
pretérito.
the time, when you're just chit-chatting with somebody and you say,
I've
I
got it in my
wanted to
notes.
do something, it's going to be imperfecto. Most of the time. Once in a while, you'll hear people using that in pretérito, but not super often. Usually imperfecto. Okay, I wanted to, because, and why? ¿Por qué? Because I wanted to talk to you is the way I was feeling. Anytime we talk about what your sentiments were, what your feelings were, I can't peg. I generally, when I'm expressing this idea, I'm not pegging it in time. It's just that idea of what I desired, what I wanted to do. And because I can't really peg it, when did I start wanting to talk to you and I stopped wanting to talk to you? That kind of isn't the point. There we go. The point of saying that I wanted, the point of it is not to peg it in a certain moment. The point is to say, this is how I felt. And that idea of how I felt is going to be an imperfecto idea. Okay.
Is it because it hasn't happened yet?
No, exactamente no. No quiere decir eso exactamente. It doesn't really necessarily mean that. Once in a while, you'll hear people use pretérito, quise, I wanted, but then they're pegging it at a specific time. And most of the time, we're just saying, I wanted, and we don't, okay, the point is, I don't know when that activity of wanted started or ended. Talking about our feelings, if people peg that in pretérito, that means they are putting a thumbtack and pegging it to a time. And most of the time, that's not the way we're using that idea.
See.
Okay.
See.
So I'm pretty sure he's going to be using that in imperfecto. Okay. I didn't know if you were available. Feelings and mental things often go into imperfecto. Okay, because with thoughts, unless it's something like decided, which is firm. Yeah. If I didn't know, that's going to fall into imperfecto as well. Okay. And he uses kind of a verb you may not expect. Venir. We'll let him give you the scoop on that one. Venir bien, coming to you well. Okay, it's what he's going to use to say available. But here is one you can probably guess. You were busy. Is that going to be talking about an event or a state somebody was in?
It's the state they were in.
Probably the state
You
where
were-
we're
you were
in. Can we
busy.
peg that really super well? Probably not. So let's listen to what he uses.
Quería hablar contigo, pero no sabía si te venía bien en ese momento o si estabas ocupada.
Okay. That went by fast.
Yeah.
We're gonna,
Mhm. Well, I heard the quería.
Quería hablar contigo, pero no
lo
sabía si te
sabía.
venía bien en ese momento o si estabas ocupada.
Okay, so let's pause it there. Quería hablar contigo. I wanted to talk to you. And notice, yep, you put that in imperfecto because when we're talking about feelings or mental processes of new something, we keep that in imperfecto. Pero no sabía, I didn't know. Okay. Saber is a very particular verb in the past. Saber literally changes meaning if you put it into pretérito. It's one of a small category of verbs that actually changes the meaning of saber a bit. If we take saber and we put it into pretérito, that means we're pegging it in time, and therefore it means not new, K-N-E-W in English, not new, but found out. Because saber in the past is found out. It happened. It means something happened at a specific time. So saber, putting that into pretérito significantly changes the meaning of saber. It means we're pegging it to a time. So it is like taking a thumbtack and a little Post-it note. I found out he was cheating on me. I found out my water bill went up $50. Blankety, blankety, blank. Yeah, okay. So found out, we're taking a thumbtack and sticking it on the corkboard of your timeline, yeah? Saber will have a different kind of meaning. So I didn't know, okay, is no sabía. And it's always going to be no sabía. I didn't know. Because we're not pegging it to time. Okay. Quería hablar. And notice how that first phrase, quería hablar contigo. Quería hablar. Quería ends in a, and hablar starts with a. So those two a's are going to merge no matter how slowly somebody's speaking. Those two a's are going to blend right into each other. No quería hablar contigo. A good thing to do, it would be good for you to go back and listen to this again and listen for that speech blending together, but take them apart into like maybe three or four separate segments. So, quería hablar contigo, quería hablar. And notice how those are going to slide right together. Quería hablar contigo. Okay, pero no sabía. I didn't know. No sabía. No sabía. And here is the if you were available. This is a verb that's not super, or a phrase, a combination of words that might not be super familiar. So don't focus too much on that. Si te venía bien en ese momento. If it came to you well in that moment. That's just a way of saying if you were available. Okay, so don't overthink that. It's taking venir with bien. Si te venía bien, if it was coming to you well, meaning if you had free time, if you were open. See? Si te venía bien. But here's the part you can distinguish really, really well. You're going to focus on quería hablar, no sabía, and this estabas, and don't worry about the venía bien. O si estabas ocupada. O si es, and notice, si es. They're going to slide right into each other. Si estabas ocupada.
Lo que tienen en común estas dos frases es que describen una escena congelada en el tiempo. Pero para que sea una historia de verdad, tiene que ocurrir algo. Y esa es la función del pretérito. Hacemos lo mismo de antes.
Yeah, okay. So when we tell a story in the past, if we're freezing something in time, we've got, you might just be talking about the person was not available, and that's just, you're describing the state they're in. But also we're going to have things that occur as specific moments, and that is what it's going to pretérito. I think this is where he segs into a preterite and imperfect comparison.
Yo te doy el infinitivo y tú conjugas el pretérito.
Oh, okay. Wow, qué difícil. So let's break it up. He's going to be using 4 verbs here. Ser, It was my birthday. Oh, yesterday was my birthday. Or it was my birthday yesterday. Ser. Okay. I organized a barbecue at home. And you could express that at home as en casa without the me. Or if you really want to emphasize it was at my house, en mi casa, which is what he's doing here. Okay. A bunch of friends came. Un montón. Un montón just says a bunch. Yeah. A big quantity. Un montón. Un montón de amigos. And we're looking at the word montón. That's how venir is going to be conjugated. We partied until it got really late. Partied is going to be expressed as estar de fiesta. And hasta las mil, until the 1,000, is just a kind of colloquial way of saying wee hours, really late, 1, 2 o'clock. Well, that wouldn't even be very late.
Quick question here. I guess I was just surprised of the phrase estar de fiesta as opposed to hacer de fiesta.
Sí, hay varias maneras de expresar, sí, partying. And I think some of those even become kind of regional, how people will use it. But this is, yeah, estar de fiesta is partying. Okay. Some people use festejar. Festejar. I think his purpose is festejar would be a little more complicated verb to use. So estar de fiesta is easier for people to practice. Okay. Okay. A ver, let's see what he uses for these. There's going to be one thing that should be kind of obvious here. And that one is this one right here. If you're going to express, so I want to take the obvious example out of all of these 4. If you say a bunch of friends came over, what's going to happen with this venir, pretérito or imperfecto?
It seems like pretérito.
Yeah. Okay, so out of all those 4, that one should be maybe a little more obvious. If you're going to say a bunch of friends came over, you're not going to express it as they were coming over. That's not the idea up here in English. A bunch of people came over. That venir we know is probably going to be pretérito. So let's listen.
Ayer fue mi cumpleaños y organicé una barbacoa en mi casa. Vinieron un montón de amigos y estuvimos de fiesta hasta las 1000.
Okay. And a lot of that probably went over your head, but we'll pause it.
Ayer fue mi cumpleaños.
And because he's pegging this in time, and because it was kind of more of an event thing, it was a special day. Yeah. Ayer fue mi cumpleaños. See? And I had a little get together. So he used organizar, organicé, because he's talking about ayer. See? Fue mi cumpleaños, organicé una barbacoa en mi casa. Vinieron, he did conjugate this for amigos. Vinieron un montón de amigos, ok, bien, sí. Vino un montón de amigos, vinieron un montón de amigos. Estuvimos de fiesta hasta las 1000. We partied late in the night. You might hear that one as estábamos also, but because he's talking about ayer, his emphasis, and because he's talking about an event, those two things paired. He's talking about ayer, and he's talking about a specific event, and events go into pretérito. He threw those all into pretérito because the emphasis is more on what happened last night. Okay? Vale? But the way we would break that apart, ayer fue mi cumpleaños. So let's look at breaking apart bigger ideas into smaller chunks. Ayer fue mi cumpleaños. ¿Sí? Y organicé but look, organicé una Organicé una. It's going to slide right into the una word. Organicé una barbacoa en mi casa. Look at how all those vowels would slide together when you're listening to somebody speaking at normal speed. Organicé una barbacoa en. Barbacoa en. Those words are going to slide together when you're listening to somebody. Una barbacoa en mi casa. Okay. And then it splits with some, once you've got, maybe a consonant, vinieron, you've got a little bit of a break. You've got that n sound in between that o and the u. Vinieron un montón de amigos y estuvimos de fiesta. Okay. Vale, bien. So this is just showing you some examples of those past
Si
ideas.
organicé una barbacoa en mi
Would that
casa.
mean they invited?
No,
What?
it's not invited. Came over.
Oh.
Vinieron, sí.
Came
Invitar
over.
has a verb, pero Nacho no usó la palabra invitar.
You're right.
Sí, usó la palabra venir. Vinieron un montón de amigos. Vinieron algunos amigos. We could take out the un montón, just talking about a bunch of friends. Sí, vinieron algunos amigos.
Okay.
Vinieron un montón de amigos y estuvimos de fiesta hasta las 1000. Aquí va otra.
Let's see if we can figure out any of these. When I left the movie theater, I saw Elena. You might say in English, from a ways off. Yeah. From a distance. And I went over to say hi. We talked a bit about everything, and I ended up buying her a coffee. Okay. What are the verbs he's going to use? Salir. When I left the theater. Is that likely to be an event, you think, or a descriptive kind of word? Yeah, more of an event. Okay. So you're likely going to hear salir because the way he phrased it, I left the movie theater. Well, that just happens kind of that fast, right? Okay. So the verb you're probably listening for is
Salir.
yo salir. Pretérito.
Salí.
Salí. Okay. I left the movie theater. I saw Elena. Now, is he saying I was looking at Elena or I saw Elena?
That's
You
an
saw her.
action. That's
The idea in his head is not I was looking at Elena. I was stalking that girl. No, I saw her. Okay. So I came out. I saw her. See? Ver is going to likely go into pretérito. De lejos is just saying a ways off. I saw her like over there. Yeah. From a distance. See? De lejos. And I went over to say hi. Saludar is greet. Y saludarla is greet her. So, yeah, saludar is greet, but, we'd be more likely in English probably to just, I said hi. So we've got, a sequence of events. This happened, then this happened, then this happened. Then this.
they're all preterito.
Yeah. Not habitual things. Not habitual things, but sequence. This, then this, then this. Okay, so he's putting them in order. First I came out, then I saw her, and then I walked over to say hi to her. And now this one you may need to think a bit. We talked a bit about everything. And I ended up, al final, the way he chooses to say this, yeah, I ended up buying her coffee. And notice he does not have the word buy. Comprar is not there. What he's got is
He invited her to take a coffee, have a coffee.
invited her to have a coffee. When, okay, but who's paying? He's the one paying, yeah. Invitar is the word that is used when you're buying.
So
When you're
that's like gift, it's like gifting. I mean, it's the same.
in a way,
Same
see?
concept as gifting.
Exacto. And so look, you would think, oh, I must need comprar, but you know, and you could, okay, es posible usar comprar. It is possible to say, I bought her coffee. See? Le compró un café, es posible. I invited her, but yeah, when you're the one doing the buying, when it's your treat, invitar is often the word that is used, even though you might not think in English, but that's the idea. Okay. Let's hear what he uses.
Sale.
Cuando salí del cine, vi a Elena de lejos y me acerqué a saludarla. Hablamos un poco de todo y al final la invité a tomar un café.
Okay. So we're going to see how much of that you could hear.
It's cuando sale, it's sale, correct?
Sí, cuando salí del cine, cuando salí del cine, when I came out of the theater, sí, cuando salí del cine, when I left the theater, when I came out of the theater, but no, Bialena, I've got 3 vowels that all hook together. This is why it's hard for us to get used to hearing that. Bia Elena, Elena, no, Bia Elena. They all slide together. Bia Elena, de lejos, a ways off, she wasn't right next to me, see? Y me acerqué. And the me acerqué comes from acercar, C-A-R. And the cargars are verbs, the verbs that end in C-A-R, Z-A-R, G-A-R, just get a spelling change, see? Acercar, you think it for a yo form, it gets an A, but it just gets a spelling change, that Q-U-E happens, acercar. Me acerqué a saludarla, and saludarla does not change because I'm not conjugating the saludarla, it's the action of this. Hello, yeah. Me acerqué, me acerqué, I walked up. Me acerqué says I walked up to her. De lejos says she was over there. Yeah. And acercarse means I walked up to her. Acercarse means to draw close to. Who says that in English? He drew near to her. That's a romance novel. Yeah. He drew near to her and gave her a kiss, but we don't say that in English. Yeah. Walked up to her. Me acerqué a saludarla. I walked up to say hi. I went over to say. In English, we say different. I went over, I walked up to, I went up to. Those are things we would say in English. Me acerqué a saludarla. We talked a little bit. Hablamos un poco, ¿sí? De todo, about everything. Y al final, la invité, I invited her. La invité a tomar un café. La invité.
Marilyn, if he invited a fellow to have coffee, would it be lo there?
Lo invité. If it was a guy that he saw instead of Elena, if it was Manuel, it would be lo invité. Lo invité. I invited him. So even though those are human beings, it's not the le.
That's what I was.
Yeah. Even human beings can be direct objects. Who did you invite? We don't generally invite a thing, do we? We invite a person. Just like you see a person. If we looked at this example of vi a Elena, if we already knew he was talking about Elena, we could say la vi, I saw her, la vi. Yeah, these are examples of when human beings are direct objects. So typically you wouldn't have le vi. I will say in Spain, there are times when you do hear people use that, le vi, but usually la vi. La vi, la invité, I invited her, okay? Because who did you invite?
Then that la vi, then that becomes, if you explain them out, la vi a ella, or la vi,
No, that would not be a usual thing, la vi.
But-
Yeah,
but
you would
that
have to
is-
be, you would have to
but-
be talking about Elena already. Ok, por ejemplo, cuando salí del cine, Elena, Elena estaba en la esquina. Cuando salí del cine, Elena estaba en la esquina. When I came out, she was standing on the corner. So that would be where she was. Estaba en la esquina. She was on the corner. Y la vi. And I saw her. Y la vi. In order to use la vi, we have to already know ahead of time before saying that there was this person, Elena, in that physical space. Yeah. If you just said, cuando salí del cine, la vi, when I came out of the movie theater, I saw her, you wouldn't know who her was. So in order to use la vi, I'd have to be known. Okay, that is why way down here, I can use la invité.
because you've already said it.
So it would not be normal to hear right off the bat, la vi de lejos. I saw her from far off because we don't know who her is. So we have to
Right.
talk about Elena first. And then later on, when we refer back to her, oh, look at what happens. Now we know, we established first, vi a Elena, I saw Elena. So because I know I'm talking about Elena, now I can plug in after that the la and the la and the la to talk about her. So I don't repeat Elena, Elena, Elena. Okay, that's the reason for having the la. So I don't have to repeat a Elena, a Elena. Saludarla, say hi to her. La invité, I invited her. Bien?
Sí.
Okay, those are good examples of how you have to name that person first, be a Elena, and then you can refer to Elena later as la. Son buenos ejemplos.
Okay,
They're good
thank you.
examples. Okay, vale, bien. Adelante.
Vi a Elena de lejos y me acerqué a saludarla. Hablamos un poco de todo y al final la invité a tomar un café. Ahora sucede lo contrario, tenemos información sobre lo que ha ocurrido, pero no sabemos nada del contexto. Lo más común no es usar frases que únicamente describan la escena o que solo informen sobre lo que ocurre, sino combinar la descripción y la
Now we're going to
información en la
combine
misma
description.
frase. Vamos a hacer el mismo ejercicio de
With
antes,
some
pero ahora
events.
intenta adivinar qué es lo que se describe y qué es lo que ocurre.
Okay. Now, there's one thing you need to know. If you're telling time in the past, imperfecto, that's just a rule. That's just a thing. Okay. So en presente son las 6, right? But if you're talking about the past, telling time in the past, it's going to have to be imperfecto. It's just a rule they have. So just know that's the way that is. And you have to just accept that. It was 6 o'clock and I was about to go back to bed. But right then I received your message. So we know that this las 6 has to be a telling time in the past. We know that ser is going to have to go into imperfecto. So what is ser going to become? Eran las 6. We know that segment has to be eran las 6 de la mañana. And look at how this is phrased. Estar a punto de volver a acostarme. I was right at the point of going back to bed.
Wow.
He is going to use estar. I was at the point of returning to going back to bed again. Yeah.
I think that would be era.
Okay. Justo en ese momento. Right then.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. Justo en ese momento. Now he's pegging something at a point. So so the thing we want to notice is that time will have to be imperfecto. We'll let you see if you're guessing right about the estar, but Then he's going to be talking about getting a text message, probably. So, justo en ese momento is putting a thumbtack in a moment of time there. So, llegar is going to go into
Pretérito.
pretérito. Okay, so let's listen to how it's all going to hang together.
Eran las 6 de la mañana y estaba a punto de volver a acostarme, pero justo en ese momento me llegó tu mensaje.
Yeah, that would be hard for you to repeat. Again, keep in mind.
Eran las 6 de la mañana y estaba a punto de volver a acostarme, pero justo en ese momento me llegó tu mensaje.
Okay, we'll get to the me llegó in a moment. Eran las 6 de la mañana. It was 6 a.m. Okay. Estaba al punto de volverme a acostarme. That is, and I was right at the point of going back to bed is really seen as more of a description. Not I went back to bed, but mentally I was kind of in that brain fog. We all know what that's like. Yeah. I was ready to crawl back in, is what he's saying. Estaba al punto. I was right up to the point of sneaking back into bed. See? Pero justo en ese momento me llegó tu mensaje. And here's what I want to point out. Me llegó. It got to me. Your message arrived. Yeah. So we're conjugating llegar for mensaje. A message arrived. And who got the message?
Me.
So that's the reason for having that the word me there.
Could you not have that word? Could you just say llegó un mensaje?
Sí, posible. Sí. Okay. Sí se puede decir. So if you want to uncomplicate it a little, you could leave out the word me. En ese momento llegó tu mensaje, your message arrived. Me llegó es como decir, I got your message. Yeah, I got your message. Your message arrived for me. Yeah. But llegar, arrived, is what the message did. Okay, probably a text. So, llegó. We don't conjugate it for yo, because I didn't arrive anywhere, right? I was crawling back into bed. Maybe I arrived back under the sheets, but that's about it. If you're going to say message got to me, it's me llegó, or just you can leave out the me. Llegó tu mensaje. Your text came on my phone, is what he's saying. Okay.
En esta frase primero describimos la escena.
First, we describe the scene. Okay, so imperfecto, what was going on? My brain was still foggy. I was ready to crawl back into bed. And then what happened? Oh, the message arrived. Okay. But these are very natural examples of things you might say.
Y luego informamos de lo que ocurrió. También podríamos hacerlo al revés, pero el énfasis cambia un poco.
Ah, okay. And now we're changing the emphasis a little bit. So he is switching around the order of the ideas. He's taking those phrases and inverting them. But then the emphasis changes a little bit. Okay. When I received your message, and now he's saying, when your message arrived for me, cuando me llegó tu mensaje, cuando me llegó tu mensaje, sí, eran las 6 de la mañana. So, in other words, sometimes we can invert the order of some of these phrases.
Cuando me llegó tu mensaje, eran las 6 de la mañana y estaba a punto de volver a acostarme.
Cuando me llegó, when your message arrived for me. ¿Sí? Okay.
Cuando me llegó tu mensaje, eran las 6 de la mañana y estaba a punto de volver a acostarme. Vamos con la última.
Okay, last one. When I saw he was coming inside the store, I decided I didn't want to talk to him.
This is a strange example.
I hear my kids saying things like this. Oh, why do you stop to people? Talk to people in the store. Yeah. When I saw he was coming inside the store, I decided I didn't want to talk to him. So while you distracted him, I got out through the window. Well, maybe that's maybe a little extreme, but okay. When I saw, and we're talking about Pedro, when I saw that Pedro was coming in the store, I decided, now here's what I want you to think about. Decided is kind of, it's a mental process, yeah, but how fast does decided happen? As opposed to, oh, I knew or I didn't know, where we don't really know. Generally, when you decide, that tends to be kind of a thing, more event oriented. Okay. So I know why people like, a lot of times they give you these mental processes go into imperfecto, but yeah, what's the mental process? If it's just, I knew, that's one thing. If it's, I decided something, that's a little bit different. Okay. So this is going to be a combination of description and events, and we're going to see how he, I'm sorry, perdón. We need to look at all the different verbs because there are a bunch of verbs here. Ver, entrar is coming in because that's enter. Yeah. And you would not use venir typically here. Entrar would be the verb that they would probably use more. Decidir, decided. Okay. Oh, I didn't want to talk to him. Notice they're going to use querer. Okay. And distraer, just that is maybe not a verb you're going to need for daily conversation. So just put that in your back hip pocket. You probably don't need to, incorporate that into your daily vocabulary. But got out, escapar. Yeah, wiggle out. Get the heck out of there. Okay. And could you use ir? Yes, you could.
Cuando vi que Pedro entraba en la tienda, decidí que no quería hablar con él. Así que mientras tú lo distraías, yo me escapé por la ventana.
Okay, you're not going to pick up all that, but let's see how he translates it. Because you've got a whole bunch of verbs to think about, and that's tough.
Cuando vi que Pedro entraba en la tienda, decidí que no quería hablar con él. Así que mientras tú lo distraías, yo me escapé por la ventana.
Bien. Okay, so I'm going to pause that. Okay. Cuando vi que Pedro entraba en la tienda, and notice this interesting, we've got a pretérito kind of in juxtaposition with entraba, imperfecto. When I saw that Pedro was in the process of doing this, and entraba is expressed as this was going on when I saw it. And the I saw it is getting pegged in time. Cuando vi que Pedro entraba en la tienda, yeah, I decided that is usually going to go straight into pretérito because it happens that fast. Decidí que no quería hablar con él. I decided I didn't want to talk to him. And again, wanted or didn't want, that's going to be not like decidir, but a desire. We can't peg the desire into a point in time as easily, right? As opposed to decided happens that fast. Decidí que no quería hablar con él. Okay. This decidí que no quería hablar con él, you can actually take out to use in useful conversation. Decidí que no quería pagar tanto. I decided I didn't want to pay so much. See? Decidí que no quería salir esa noche. I decided I didn't want to go out that night. See? That decidí que no quería, I decided that I didn't want to, or decidí que sí quería, or I decided that I did want to do something. That is a useful little chunk because we do tend to say things like that about what you decided to do. Okay. Mientras tú lo distraías while you were distracting him, okay? Me escapé, I escaped. Could you just say me fui? You could. There's a shorter verb, me fui por la ventana. I left through the window, me fui. He just decided to use me escapé, I got out. You're not likely to call through a window, I don't think. Okay, bien, vale. So the point of listening to that was listening to which verb he chose and listening to how those words connect. I think it's a good little exercise for you to listen to that again. Put him at the 75 speed because yeah, he is speaking for people who are trying to get what they call like a C1 and C2 level. And people who want to get to that level for business purposes have to be able to distinguish very fast native rate of speech, okay, for business purposes. That's what they have to do. Okay, so you're going to slow it down a lot next. And that's okay. Está bien. How do you want to mix things up? Okay. Verbos posibles. We've got some possible verbs here. But okay. And I think here are the verbs that are possible to talk about all that traffic. Here's a guy stuck in a traffic jam.
I tried to do it with the word I, with all three tenses.
Okay. Vale.
Hay muchos carros en la carretera hoy. There's a lot of cars on the highway today.
Hay muchos carros en la carretera, en la autopista. There are a couple words you could use for road. See, carretera, highway, autopista, también highway. Okay.
And then I said, había muchos carros durante las vacaciones.
Sí. Okay.
Hubo muchos carros porque la otra carretera era inundada. The other highway was flooded.
Okay.
Would that be the right? Like it's an event because one thing happened.
Yeah.
There was an
Vale,
accident.
bueno, sí. If you want to talk about a traffic jam, a word, there are a couple of words that we can use for traffic jam. Let me plug them in here.
Atasco.
Embotamiento, bottled up. You see botella.
Yeah.
Now, that's a long word. What a pain in the neck. Embotella, perdón. Embotellamiento. Lo escribí mal. I wrote it poorly. Embotellamiento. And you've got botella, bottle, in the middle of that. And we say bottled up, don't we? Yeah. Embotellamiento, embotellamiento. So that's one way of saying a traffic jam. But a shorter word, so it'll be easier to use, might be this one. Atasco. Atasco also means traffic jam. Just like we might say bottled up or traffic jam, there are a couple of different words you can say. So if you want to say it as an event, is that an event? It might be an event. So
just today, there was a crash or something.
Hubo un atasco, there was a traffic jam. Or if you say there were a lot of cars, now if you choose to use it with cars, there were a lot of cars. Cars are not an event.
Okay, then it has to be había.
Yeah, so había muchos carros, there were a lot of cars, because cars are not an event.
So it's hubo un atasco.
Pero hubo un atasco. ¿Entienden la diferencia? Do you understand the difference?
Sí.
A traffic jam is an event, so more likely to be hubo.
Got you. That makes sense.
But cars are not an event. They don't happen. So había muchos carros, and all those three verbs, whether it's hay, there are right now, or hubo to talk about atasco, emboteamiento, or había to talk about the cars. Yeah, always goes in that singular thing because that is what we call an impersonal verb. There were.
Okay.
Okay. So it won't be plural. It won't be habían. It'll be había,
Okay.
right? Or hubo, or hay. Okay. Había muchos carros. Hubo, let's take the shorter word. Hubo un atasco. Vale. Okay. What else might we say? Okay. Sí, Diana.
Hubo un accidente en la carretera. Ahora hay un atasco. El hombre va a llegar llegar tarde a su oficina.
El hombre va a llegar tarde a su oficina. The man's going to get to his office late. Sí, el hombre va a llegar ahora va a llegar tarde. Eso sí. Perfecto. Sí, Kathleen.
Could you say hubo un atasco y estaba enojado.
Estaba enojado. Perfecto. Estaba enojado. He was now describing how he felt. Okay, bien. Now, interesting to note, estuvo enojado. Es posible, it is possible, but you're changing the communication, the idea communicated a little. Estuvo enojado would mean he got mad. Estaba enojado, he was angry. The two ideas are valid. They're both equally correct. It's just with one, you're saying it was this reaction to the traffic jam. With the other, it's how he felt, just in general. Okay, perfecto. Por ejemplo, ¿cómo se dice? He waited a whole hour. He waited a whole hour on the highway. He waited for 1 hour. And we're pegging that to a
Esperó.
Esperó una hora. Esperó 1 hora en la autopista. He waited for an hour. Okay. I could say esperaba. He was waiting, but then now I have to add more ideas onto it because it's kind of a background description. Okay. Esperaba 1 hora, esperaba 1 hora entera y no pasó nada. He waited a whole hour and nothing happened. ¿Sí? Y no adelantó, and he didn't move up. He didn't move forward. ¿Sí? Así, okay?
Could you say he waited a how porque hay un atasco? Because there was a traffic, because there was, you could use the two and divide it that way.
See, yeah. So, really, it's the idea behind the word. So people are going to flip between those when they're changing the emphasis a little bit of what they're saying, right? They're going to change between pretérito or imperfecto, possibly, depending on the idea they're trying to get across. Remember that imperfecto, if the idea you want to say is was doing or used to do, it's imperfecto. So it really depends on the idea in your head, and then you're going to pick the type of past tense that fits that idea. Okay. A ver. Otra cosa, aquí tenemos una persona que está limpiando el suelo, limpiando el piso. ¿Dónde está la mujer? ¿Dónde está la mujer en esta foto?
En una empresa.
En una empresa, en una tienda,
Sí.
quizás
El super.
está en un supermercado, en un mercado.
En un aeropuerto.
Es posible, sí. Sí, ella tiene una máquina grandísima, ¿sí? Ah, una máquina grandísima para limpiar el suelo aquí. Y está con, me imagino que estas son botellas de leche o
Oh, sí.
algo. Ok, a ver. Y aquí tenemos verbos posibles: dejar caer, romper, limpiar, mantener, usar. ¿Qué podemos decir de la foto?
Well, I have a question for you right off the bat. When I tried to type in something about how she was cleaning the floor when you dropped the bottle, so I tried to use cayó, and it came up with this gobbledygook. Se te cayó la leche.
Oh,
You dropped the bottle.
se le
Say,
cayó.
hey. Yeah, why do you have the say? Is cayó reflexive?
Ok. Caerse es como fall down, pero
Oh,
al,
that's what I figured it was a bad translation.
un término muy común. Ok, por ejemplo, she was cleaning the floor, ¿sí?
That was
Limpiaba el suelo. She was cleaning the
Cuando.
floor. Or estaba limpiando los dos. Está bien, ¿sí?
Okay.
Estaba limpiando, está bien. Limpiaba, shorter, una frase más corta. Limpiaba el suelo cuando, a ver. Often you hear it expressed this way. Se le cayó. Se le cayó. Often it's like this. The se le cayó, the se le says, oops.
Right. I just needed
Caer is one of the verbs you can use the oops phrase with. And the oops phrase always has a se le if it happened to this many people.
Okay.
Se nos if it happened to. Se nos if it happened to all of us. Se me if it happened, I was a fumble fingers. Se me cayó la leche. ¿Sí?
Okay.
Se les if a bunch of people were carrying it, but likely it's one person. But yeah, it could be se les. ¿Sí?
Okay.
Se me cayó la botella. Se me cayó la botella de leche. I dropped a bottle of milk. ¿Sí? Se me cayó. It went and dropped itself on me. It's the se combined with the me or a le or a nos. The me, the le, the nos tells who it happened to, and the se says, oops. There are a few verbs, a handful of verbs that you can use that with. Caer is one of them.
Okay.
And it's one of the easiest ways of saying dropped and didn't mean to, okay? If somebody dropped something and they mean to, that's one thing, but yeah, didn't mean to is say. Limpiaba el suelo cuando se le cayó a la botella de leche o la leche. ¿Sí? Bien. Ok. Otra idea. Any other idea there? Bueno, Diana.
El piso estaba muy sucio y una empleada lo limpió.
El piso, es buen ejemplo. El piso estaba muy sucio, muy sucio. The floor was really dirty. And, muy importante, es descripción nada más. The floor was really dirty, ¿sí? Cuando empezó, cuando terminó, no sabemos. We don't know when it started being dirty, when it really got mopped up. The emphasis is not on when it started or it finished, just that this was the state it was in. Es descripción, punto. Yeah, and that's the end of it. ¿Sí? El piso estaba muy sucio y
La empleada
la empleada
lo limpió.
lo limpió, perfecto. Y la empleada lo limpió. And the woman cleaned it. Okay. Lo is talking about el piso. So we don't want to say limpió el piso again. Yeah. El piso turns into lo. Lo limpió. And here is something she went and did. Boom. Right in the middle of that is kind of an interrupting action, and it's over with. Y ahí está. And that's the end of that. See? Okay. Perfecto. Vale. Siguiente. Verbos posibles. We got lots of possible verbs. You may have one that's not on this list, and that's fine. Dar, give, recibir, you take something in, see? Traer, somebody's bringing something to a location. Llevar, somebody's carrying something. Venir, posible, to come in. Yeah. Señalar is doing this. Señalar, boom, 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 boom. Señalar means you're pointing something out. Okay. Escuchar, preguntar, mostrar, show. So those are possible things. Okay. ¿Cuáles son algunos ejemplos? What are some examples?
Una historia muy grande.
Okay. Vale.
Amazon es una empresa que vende muchas cosas en el red. El hombre compró un abrigo de Amazon. FedEx entrega el abrigo en su casa, or could it be a su casa? No sé.
Okay.
Él lo va a necesitar cuando haga frío.
Lo va a necesitar. He's going to need it cuando haga frío, when it gets cold.
Oh.
And it's not cold yet. We don't know when it's going to get cold. But it'll get cold sometime out there. No sabemos cuándo. No, we don't know when. Cuando haga frío, when it is cold. Excelente. Sí. Bien. Ok. Vale. Bueno, Marcos.
Pedí algunas cosas en Amazon. La conductora de FedEx me trae la caja.
Ok. Vale. Sí. Si pedimos cosas en la red, if we order things online, sí, en la red means on the web. Sí, como cuando compramos o pedimos cosas en línea, online. En línea otra vez, cuando hablamos con los jóvenes, when young people talk, en línea used to be strictly like the allowed word for online, but you'll hear young people saying online. It's one of those borrowed words that is sneaking in that the grammar Nazis do not like. En línea es el término correcto, pero hay muchos jóvenes que dicen online, and they'll kind of Spaniardize it. Así. Ok. Bueno, hay otra idea. Any other idea? meeting or delivery, meeting or delivery, lo que sea, whatever.
I was playing with my pronouns on this one, and I just
Okay.
said the woman's name's Marie. Marie se lo trae. She brought it to him.
Okay.
'Cause you said no
Se lo trajo. Ok, esto es un poquito complicado porque traer es muy irregular en pretérito. Se lo trajo, perdón. Se lo trajo. She brought it. That's the lo, whatever that is in el paquete, the package. See?
Right.
To him. Sí, se lo trajo. Traer es muy irregular en pretérito. Entonces, las formas. ¿Cuáles son las formas? Eso es difícil. That's a tough one. Traje, it gets a J, and where that J comes from, nobody knows. It just is. Trajiste, trajo. So trajo is the one we need to talk about one person doing it. Se lo trajo. She brought it to him. See, and the to him is the se word.
Right.
Okay. Se lo trajo, trajimos, trajeron. Muy irregular. Trajeron, aún peor. Trajeron is even worse because it's not an I-E-R-O-N like you think it should be because it's got a J and the J already has a little dot. So that's how I used to remember it as a kid.
Oh.
If it's a J, it takes the place of the I-E-R-O-N, and the J with the dot moves out the I. Trajeron. That's how I used to remember it as a 14-year-old. Because it was the only thing I could do. Yeah, trajeron.
But that doesn't work for trajimos. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
Sí, sí. Sí. Igual, sí. Igual. Trajió. Yeah. Think of how hard it is. Trajió. Trajeron. Wow. That's like, you know, it's hard to say. Trajo. Trajeron. That's just the way I remember it. When it's got a J, it kicks out the little I letter. Okay, because they both have dots. What a primitive way to remember something. When you're 14, you do things to just make yourself remember. See? Trajo, trajeron. Okay. Vale, bueno, sí. Son las 11:30. 11:30. I want to see. We'll pick up with these. We'll pick up with these next week. We'll start off with these two, okay? Vamos a empezar con las últimas fotos aquí. You're going to have kind of a fun listening video for next week. It is a guy talking about losing weight, but it's a fun video. I'm going to show you with a different person. This is not the video you're going to see. This is because this is so short. I can show it to you just in the last couple minutes we've got here. But it's kind of a preview of the topic. I put on 2 pounds. We would say in English, 2 pounds, 4 pounds. 2 kilos es como más de 4 libras. Yeah, 2 kilos is over 4 pounds. You know what? It would be like us saying I gained 5 pounds. What do we usually gain? 5 pounds. It's 5 or 10, right? Siempre. Nobody notices when you put on 2 pounds, right? But 5 or 10, you feel
We
it.
tell you when we lose 1.
Así es, sí, eso es, sí, sí. Okay, engordado. I have gotten fat. Gordo es fat. Engordarse is to get fat. Me engordado. I put on, but we would say, we wouldn't say I've gotten fat. We would say I put on 5 pounds, right? A ver. No cunde el pánico. Don't let panic set in. So don't freak out. Que nadie tenga miedo. May nobody have fear of this. Don't freak out. No, que no cunda el pánico. It's a subjunctive. Que no tenga, it's a subjunctive thing. Don't freak out. Don't get scared.
Marilyn, if you're showing something to us, I'm not seeing it.
No, I can't see it.
Oh, perdón. Momento. Let me back up.
¡Horror! ¡Qué horror, chicos! ¡Qué horror! He engordado 2 kilos. Ay, 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 ay. Bueno, mira, que no cunda el pánico, que no cunda el pánico. Perder 1 kilo o 2 es pan comido.
Losing a kilo or 2 es pan comido. That's a play on words. It's a piece of cake. Losing a couple of pounds is a piece of cake, we would say in English. Or we would say it's super easy. It's pan comido. Eaten bread is a way of saying it's super easy to do. Es pan comido.
Muy fácil, muy fácil. Desde hoy, nada de alcohol, ¿eh?
From today on, no booze. Nada de alcohol, nada de cerveza, nothing of, meaning cut it all out. Yeah? Nada de alcohol, nada de cerveza.
Nada de cerveza, nada de vino. Bajar de
No
peso
wine.
es pan comido, tío.
Losing weight is super easy.
Pan comido. Pan comido. Muy fácil, tío, muy fácil.
Right, easy, man.
Solo tengo que dejar de comer patatas fritas
Stop eating chips.
y chocolate. Digo, nada de chocolate.
Stop eating chocolate.
¿No? Nada. Bajar de peso es pan
Es
comido,
pan
tío.
comido.
Es pan comido.
Okay, so that is the funny prelude. That will not be your actual video for listening, because it's going to be a long video. He talks about the common thing we suffer through with losing weight. Okay, bien. Por fin. Ay, se me olvidó. I forgot. Next week begins November, and that means it's the start of the second phase of autumn. So so because fall is split in that funny 2 segment thing with Scottsdale, it's the way they do it tuition wise. Next week starts the second phase. So if you didn't sign up for, I call it fall 2 or fall B, fall A, fall B. So that means all the classes that run from November through up to Christmas. Make sure you do so, para que sepa. So, because I know I'm going to have some people to add on for next, and I have to make myself remember to get their emails and send them out the information. Okay, nada más, ¿sí? Ya está, that's it, ya está. Okay, bien?
Bien.
Perfecto. Okay. Y
Gracias.
entonces, sí, nos vemos luego, ¿sí? Y cuídense mucho. Y Diamondbacks. Sí.